Okay, hello everybody, welcome back. Just let me check if I'm live and then we are going to start the session. Just 1 second. Okay, great. So, perfect, guys. Welcome back. Good morning, everybody. This is lesson number 66, and we are in the part 4 of Advanced JavaScript. So, in this today's session, also, we are going to learn many more things about different topics. Okay, I'm going to just tell you what all things we are going to study. But before that, let's just do a recap because many students are new here, so they should also get to know what all things we have already done. Okay, so this is the fourth part of Advanced JavaScript. Advanced JavaScript is having 5 parts, and this is the fourth part. We have already done 3 of them, right? And we have understood in 3 of them how basically how JS engine or whatever happens in internal JavaScript, what how the code actually runs, from where it goes, how the memory gets stored, all of those things we have discussed, right? So mainly the topics about call stack, GC, and how the objects are created, how you can play with objects, how you can use functions, what are the different kinds of functions, right? All of those things we have studied in these advanced JavaScript parts, right? So in this today's session also we are going to do a lot of different topics, small topics, and these topics will be used in many of the interview questions. So I'm going to discuss that as well. uh, right now we are going to understand prototypes, right, first of all, and the next things we are going to understand about DOM, right, and then we are going to move and understand about HTML, not HTML, sorry. After DOM we are going to understand about higher order functions. Okay, so these are the 3 topics which we are going to cover. So let's get started. Okay, and if anybody is new here, then I'll just tell you what is happening. So we are CodeBeyond by Unacademy, and we are providing free course content on different programming languages. So I am covering here front end playlist where I'm just explaining how this HTML, CSS, JavaScript all works, right, and all the concepts of it. So already 65 lessons are completed, and you can go ahead and check out the playlist, what all topics are covered, because this all playlist is very deep, right, and this is all for free. So if you are a beginner and you do not know what is HTML, CSS or JavaScript and you have not started with it, go ahead and start the journey, right? Start from the beginning and keep on going, keep on following all the videos. You will come to a stage where you'll be ready for the interview and you can crack the interview, right? So that's what is our motto. And let me just introduce myself to you. So my name is Ritwik Raj and I'm a corporate trainer. I've also worked as a subject matter expert and a research analyst in most of the edtech companies, and I have 3+ years of teaching experience, and I've trained graduates and corporate employees from Edison and Capgemini. I've trained more than 30K students till now. It is increasing day by day. Subjects which I take is mostly into front-end development, back-end languages, or database languages, and mostly tips and tricks on how to crack interviews, right? So today at 9 p.m. we have one session on tips and tricks on how to crack interview, right? So I'll meet you there soon, and we are going to talk about a lot of things there. Not technical. There will be no technical things discussion there. It will be just a normal discussion on how you can sit for an interview, or how you can prepare for an interview, what all things you need to grasp before going for an interview, right? All of those things I'm going to talk about in this session. And tomorrow also we'll have one more session on tips and tricks part 2. Okay, so be ready for that and call all of your friends there in that session, because that session will be really good. Okay, now I have very good news for you. So you can use my code, which is RIT10, to get a free level sample test paper. And if suppose you already know about Relevel, then you must be knowing that you have to give an actual test, and this free sample test paper will help you a lot in that case, right? So this sample test paper will tell you about what all questions will be asked, or what pattern of questions will be asked in the actual test. So it will be really helpful for you. So you can use my code there. uh, Suppose if anybody is new here and who do not know what is Relevel, then let me introduce it to you. Okay, now the reason of this product to come by Unacademy is basically a very good reason. Okay, so the reason is, let's say that you are graduated from engineering background, and you are looking out for a job, but you have applied for 50-60 companies, but none of them are calling you for interview, or you're not getting hired, right? The reason is not your skill. You are talented, you have the skill, but your college is tier 3, right? And maybe most of the MNC companies not maybe, actually most of the MNC companies looking for all those students who are from tier 1, tier 2, because they want good candidates, right? And they think that good candidates are only in tier 1, tier 2 colleges, but it's not like that, right? Maybe you have done a lot of hard work and you know the skills, but because of college you are not being able to. So this is something which was one of the valid reason. And also there are some students who are graduated from another degree, let's say BCA or BSc or BCom, something like that, but they want to move to IT field, correct? And they have the skills, but still looking at the degree, MNC companies do not call them for the interview or get them hired, correct? So these are the reasons why Relevel introduced, and this is India's first test hiring platform by Unacademy, which is helping job seekers find their dream jobs, and you can get a job on the basis of skill and talent. Okay, so you do not have to depend on the degree or whatever connections you have or not, or whether the college is tier 3 or not. So all these things you do not have to worry about. Now, how Relevel is going to judge you? So basically you have to give a free test, and this test will be of 1000 marks. So you have to score above 700. If you do that, that means you are skilled enough, and we'll create a profile for you and we'll share it with across 50 plus companies who are our clients, and we'll be able to give you 1000 plus job positions across business development, front development, and backend development, right? So these are some of the benefits which you will get. And also this test is for free, so anybody can give, correct? Now, suppose if you are scoring below 700, then what happens? After 30 days, you can reattempt the test. Correct? So with Relevel, you are in a unique position to invite interest from companies instead of hunting for opportunities on your own. Now, that was all about Relevel, correct? But we have to also understand how to register for it, correct? So in the description of this video, you can find a link. That link will take you to relevel.com, and you'll be able to find that one register button. If you click on it, it will ask for a mobile number and an OTP. Once you do that, it will take you to this page where you have to choose the test of your choice. Suppose you are skilled enough in front-end development, select that and move to booking a slot page. So book a slot when you want to give the level test. Slots are limited, so I suggest you to book it fast. Okay. Now, once you do that, you have to fill in the details, and you can fill in the full name, email ID, birth year, current state, and gender. And after that, you can put up the referral code, so which will be RIT10. So do not forget to use that. Otherwise, in your account, sample paper will not be shown. So put the RIT10 code here, apply it, and create account. Once you do that, you will get your account, and there will be a sample paper you can see. Okay, so you have to download the sample paper, and once you do that, you will be able to get an idea what kind of questions will be asked in the actual test, which is of 1000 marks. So this sample paper will help you a lot. Now, if you have already registered for Relevel, then all the best for the actual test. If you have not done it, then go ahead and do it, because slots are limited, as I said. And if suppose you're not ready for the test, you are thinking that, okay, this is a 1000 marks test and I don't even have so much of the skills. So what I should do? What you should do is you should go ahead and watch CodeBeyond, all the playlist, whatever educators are teaching, whatever they are taking live sessions, and go ahead and upskill yourself. Once you do that, once you're ready, once you're having some projects and you know all the concepts, go ahead and register for Relevel and give the actual test. Correct? So this was all about Relevel, and also please do join the Telegram channel. The link is in the given description, so you can click on it and join it. Why you need to join the Telegram channel? Because all the notifications and updates are coming up in the Telegram channel itself. So you'll get an notification that I'm live right now, and you can see those live sessions. Correct? Also, please do subscribe to the YouTube channel, which is CodeBeyond, and please hit the notification bell so that you get an update in the YouTube app as well. And please like and share so that other people will also get to know that this live session has done well, and many people are learning from this for free. Okay, so today's topic is again Advanced JavaScript, but we are going to understand HTML DOM, which is one of the topic, not only HTML DOM we are going to do. And this session will be long, so I suggest you to please just leave everything and just sit with your VS Code open and this particular YouTube live session open, so that you can actually do the codes with me and you can learn whatever things we are doing here. Okay, so first of all, we are going to do prototypes. Okay, we are going to understand how prototypes work, because that I have not told you. And after that, we are going to HTML DOM. We are going to learn some query selector and all of these methods and all, how this works, because soon we are going to come up with the projects, right? And in the project, if I'm using any particular method which you do not know, then it will be very hectic situation for you. So I want to use one of or some of the methods which you already know, you already don't know about it, and right now if I teach you, then in the projects it will help you a lot, correct? So that's what we'll do. And also we'll understand about higher order functions. We are going to do some codings, and we are going to understand what is that. So first of all, let's open the Visual Studio Code. I hope you can see it, right? And let me just open the browser also, so I hope you can see that. Okay, now let's do something. Let's create another folder, and let's just say here advance 4.ht. This is a folder which I'm creating, right? Okay, just advance for JavaScript, and let's create a file here. Give me an attendance, right? Hi Jitender. Anybody else who is there? Please do give me an attendance. Just say your name and or just say hi. Anything will work, so that I can take your names and I can just ask you some questions, right? And just to let me know that if you guys are understanding things or not. It will be really helpful for me, right? So please do let me know if you guys are there, and give me a hi or a hello. Okay, let's get started. So here I'm going to just put this part, and I'm going to just write here understanding HTML DOM and higher order functions. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, now let me just open it in the browser. I just want to show you in the browser how is it looking like. Okay, so this is my page which is ready, and let's get started with the coding. So let's come back. Now prototypes, if you do not know, we have seen about objects, right? We have seen how objects works. We have seen about how actually constructors also work, right? We have seen that if we are calling any constructor with all the argument values, it's gonna go to the constructor special method, and then it's gonna call everything, right? We have seen those things, and we know how it actually works, correct? So here also let's do one of the coding, and let's understand, let's see whether you know those stuffs or not, whether you have learned those stuffs or not. So I'm just going to write a simple code, and I'm going to ask some questions on it. Okay, so let's say I'm just writing here script.js. That's my file name. Let's save this. Let's go here. Let's close this. And here I'm going to write up the code, right? So here I'm creating a function. Let's say I'm going to create a function as gentleman. Okay. And I'm going to just write here because it's a function. So let me give here capital G, and I'm just going to write here first, let's say last, let's say gender, let's say age. Okay, and because this is the function, so I'm going to just give some values to it. So these values I'm using this keyword, and I'm just giving here first name equal to first. I'll pass the values using the constructor. That's why I'm doing this. And you have seen this code. You have seen why I'm doing this. I've told you what is the reason behind writing this kind of code using this keyword. So I hope you don't have any confusions when I'm writing this kind of code. Okay. Similarly, I'm going to do for gender. If you have not seen the object session, then please go ahead and watch it. You will be able to understand what am I doing here. Okay. So I've just created one function here. I'm going to just create an object now, and I'm going to call the constructor. So you must be knowing how to do that, and that you will be doing by creating an object. So let's say I'm creating an object. Let's say this is an object. Okay, and I'm just going to create a constructor. So for constructor here, we need to give some arguments. As we can see, first, okay, I hope everything is working now. Can anybody please let me know if I'm back? Anybody please let me know if I'm back? Okay, cool, perfect. Let's continue with the code, right? So we have this, okay, we have Ritwik, and then we have the Raj, and then we have the gender. So let's write the gender, and then we are going to just write here the age, right? So I've created this particular object here, and we can call this object in our ID which I've written, right? So we can call this there. I hope I have written the ID as demo itself, right? So I'm going to put up demo, and let's say inner HTML, and here I'm going to just write one sentence. So let's say my, or let's say, yeah, my brother name is, and here I'm just going to say brother1 dot because it's the name, so let's say I'm going to write here first. Okay, so this is what I have written here, right? And you know what's gonna happen, it's gonna just tell you that what is the value of your first name, right? So it's gonna just print that, correct? This we already know. So let's say I'm just printing this, I'm saving it, going to the index.html, opening it with live server, and let me just show you what is the output of this. So as you can see here in the browser, we have my brother name is Ritwik. Okay, so this is the normal constructor call which we are doing, correct? And let's say if I have one more object which I want to create, so in that case what I'll do, I'll just do this thing again, right? And I'll just paste it here. Maybe I'll just make it here a 2, and I'll just change the names, right? So let's say I'm putting up here as Aman, and let's say I'm putting up here it as Gupta, and let's say I'm putting up here it as 28, correct? And if I want to write something here, and it will also fetch the same thing, right? So let's say I'm putting up here as some space, and then again I'm going to write, and my name is, okay, 1 second, so I have to put up here the double quotes, and this I'll just give a space, and here I'm going to write brother2 dot first name. Okay, cool. So let's do something. Let's save this, and let's check out what is happening, right? So if I go back to my browser, here you can see my brother name is Ritwik and my name is Aman, correct? So we understood how this constructor is working, right? And how we can change the values with respect to our code, whatever code we are writing, correct? Now here, let's say we are doing some changes, okay, and we want to add some more values to it, right? Like we have the first name, we have the last name. 1 second, we have the first name, we have the last name, we have the gender, we have the age, right? So here, let's say I want to add some more functions, I want to add some more properties to it, right? So let's say I want to add maybe something else, maybe marks, right? So how can we add that? So let's say I'm putting up here it as gentleman dot marks, correct? And let's say I'm giving the marks as 89, right? And let's say I'm just going to print it up here. So let's say here, just after this, I'm giving a space, and I'm going to just print here brother1 dot marks. Okay, Now, will this work? The question is, will this work? Because what I'm doing is I'm adding a new property, which is marks, to this gentleman. So it will, let's say it will get added, right? And then this will also give me the same thing, right? We can give here 89, and for this also 89 will come, right? Let's check out. So if I save this, if I go back to my code, the output, you can see here it says undefined, correct? Now that means the number or the marks which I am writing to my gentleman code is not getting fetched here, right? That is the reason. That is why it is saying me undefined, because I've told you always undefined will only come in such cases where it is taking the global value, and in the global value what is happening basically, the value is not getting fetched inside the memory. So at that time it gives me this thing, right? So in this case, what you need to do? In this case, this is called as you cannot add a new property to an existing object constructor, right? So in this case, what you do, we have to add a new property to a constructor itself directly. So what you have to do, we have to do like something like this. We have to do something like this. Always we need to do this, then only we can add new property, right? Now, but this is not a good idea, right? This is not a good way of putting up the code. We cannot do this always, right? Let's say that I have first slash gender age mark. This code is running for a long way, right? And later on we found out that we need to add one more data here. So we can't add it here. Now we need to add it personally, like an extra code we need to write, okay, to add that particular thing there, right? In that case, we need to use prototypes. Now, what are prototypes? So, what are prototypes? Let's understand this. So, when you say about prototypes, if you're writing any prototype for anything, let's say you are making a date object, right? And if you want to use prototype for that, then we have a date prototype for that. Okay, and let's say that we were using array, so we have array prototype for that. If suppose we are creating one of the functions as gentleman, right? So we can use gentleman prototype also. So what is this prototype? This is just the higher level of our function or whatever we are using. If you are using date function, so date function का higher order क्या है, मतलब उसके ऊपर क्या है, prototype, and we can use this. So it's just like, let's say that I am a student, okay? Let's suppose that I'm a student. I'm just a kid, and I want something from my for myself. I want something for myself. I'm just a kid, and I want something for myself. So I can't just go out and purchase something, right? I'll ask my parents. I'll just ask my father that, hey father, I want this thing. Can you just purchase this for me? Right? So what are you doing? You are going to your father and you are going to say that you're going to ask those things for yourself, right? Same thing happens here. If you want to use date and in the date you want to add something new, you have to go to its father. That's your prototype. Okay, so using this prototype, you can make all of those things, all of your objects as date objects. If you're using it in an array, all of the other things will become an array object. Okay, so it's kind of a magic which prototype does, and all JavaScript objects, any objects, date, array, or this one, these all objects inherit properties and methods from a prototype. So it's just like a father thing. Like we do inherit everything from our father. Same thing happens here. Even if it's date object, even if it's array object, even if it's a function for which you are creating an object, that means your user defined object, any object whichever you are doing, it will inherit properties and methods from its prototype. Okay, how do we write this? Just normally we do like this, something like this, array dot prototype. Okay, similarly I can also write here gentleman dot prototype. Okay, so this is how we can do it. Now if I want to add some new properties, right? I have marks here, so I wanted to add this marks in my function. Right now let's suppose it is not there, right? I want to add marks to my function. So what I have to do, I have to do gentleman dot prototype dot whatever you want to use. So what I'm doing, I'm asking my parent that, hey, can I use this marks in my function, right? So prototype will give me a permission. Prototype will say that, okay, yeah, I have this thing. I can give you, you know, I can tell you to do this. So here we can use marks. So in this case, here you need to write something like this. Okay, so let me just comment this because this is already an explanation which I was just giving you, and this one I'll put it up here. Okay, so I've taken the help of prototype, which is a father element of any object, right? And it basically inherits all the properties and methods. So I'm just asking them that, hey, can I create this marks element also for my function? So this prototype, what it will do, it will create a marks element or marks property inside your function. Okay, and now you can print it. So right now in my code, I think already I've written brother2 dot first name space brother1 dot marks, correct? So let's save this now and let's check out whether it is giving me the marks or not. One second, anything wrong? Gentleman dot prototype dot marks. One second. Still it shows undefined, so let's check out what is the problem. Prototype dot marks. Okay, I think I have written a wrong code. So I've written here capital M. That's why it was not coming. Yeah, now have a look. So these silly mistakes will happen with you also. Don't worry about that. But yeah, with using prototype, it is giving me the answer, correct? So it is giving me my brother name is Ritwik, my name is Aman, and then the marks. That's how I've written it in the code, correct? So I'm getting the property marks output also right now, right? Earlier I was not getting. So what is this prototype? Prototype is something like object's father, right? If you want to add some new properties to your object, all the objects, not only gentlemen, whatever you are creating, all the objects is having its own father, which is a prototype, and you can ask, you can take permissions, and you can create those new functions or properties by using that. Okay, so JavaScript prototype property allows you to add new methods to object constructors, and you can do that as well. So let's say I have these four things, right? And now what I'm going to do is here what I've done, I have created a variable in which I've put up a value, right? Let's say I do not want to add a variable, but in this function, gentlemen, I want to add a function. So prototype will give me the permission to do that or not? Yes, it will. So prototype gives you all the permissions to create a variable or a function, any kind of thing. So let's say I want to create here full name, right? And this full name is a function which I want to create, correct? So here, obviously the whole code is gonna come. So this dot first name plus it's gonna also give me this dot last name. Okay, let's save this. And now because it's full name, so I'm not going to print any such kind of things. I'm going to just write here brother1 dot full name. Let's save this. Let's check out what is the, one second, I think I'm not calling the function. Yeah, so have a look. So it is giving me Ritwik Raj. Okay, so yes, with using prototype you can create a function as well. Fine. So that is what is all about prototype. There is nothing else in this. Okay, but always make sure that you are changing the properties of your own functions. Okay, you can't change the properties of a already declared objects like date or array. These are already declared objects, right? My JavaScript has given these things already to me. So for these, you can't add a new property. Okay, you can create a new property for all your own designed functions, your own designed objects. For those, you can change it. Now, why did I taught you prototype at this time? Because once I'll move to high order functions, then it will be really, really important for you to understand what is a prototype. Okay, so let's do that. Now, what I'm going to do, prototype is over. So I'm just going to comment this, right? And now we're going to understand a new topic, right? So let's understand what is high order functions. Okay, fine. That's what we are going to understand. Let me just comment this. After high order functions, we are going to do last topic, which is HTML DOM. Fine. So you explain prototype very easily. Thank you. And so please explain all concepts of prototype, please. So level test में data structure question भी पूछेंगे क्या front end में? Pawan, I have no idea about that. Just let me, because I'm coming up with one of the session in which I'm taking Relevel test का questions. Relevel test में जो भी questions आएगा उसका एक पूरा session बनाऊंगा मैं, and I'll come up with that. So let's see in that session whether DSA questions will be there or not. Just wait for it. You will get an update soon. Right now, I can't give you a false answer, right? I can't just say that there will be no questions and when you're giving the test, there will be DSA questions, right? I don't want to do that. So right now, being frank, I have no idea, but just give me some time. I'll take it down, okay? And I will come back with this answer, okay? Fine, Pawan. So I have noted it down and I will come back with this answer. And also I'm coming up with this with the session which I have told you. Okay, great. So let's get started. High order functions, what is it? Because we have understood about callback queue, microtask queue, event loop, then we have also understood about some more things, right? We have understood about callbacks, callback queue, how this callback function works, that also I've told you. We have also talked about promises and also about closures as well, right? We have understood about all these topics. Now, what is this high order function? Now, high order functions is one of the concept inside functional programming. Okay. Now, if you don't know what is functional programming, then you should know and must know about it right away, because function programming is something which is used in all the programming languages, not only JavaScript. So what is this function programming? Basically, how to use functions in a more effective way. That is what is function programming. Okay. So see, in every particular question, whatever will be asked to you in your particular interview or a particular coding test will be having logic, right? And those logic build up you will only understand when you will practice a lot. Okay. Now, logics can be built in different ways, right? If I am creating a logic, my logic will be much more different than your logic, right? And your logic may much more different with your best friend logic, correct? Now, these logics will be written inside a function, right? Because function is a very good thing in which you can write a logic, because a function can be written once and can be called many times, and all the logics can be written inside a function and so that it can be called many times, correct? Now, function programming means use functions but in a more effective way. It should not be like your code is much more bigger. It can be written in a shorter way, right? If your code is written in a bigger way, any which ways it is running, it is giving you the output, but it's not looking good. It's not an effective way of writing the code, right? That's what is functional programming. That is where we use functional programming, okay? Now, in functional programming, we have one of the topic which is higher order functions. So first of all, let's try to understand that, okay? Now, I'm just going to write one of the normal program. I'm not going to run this also. I'm just going to write a normal program. So let's say I have a function, right? And I'm just printing here, print. right? And now I'm going to create another function, let's say b, and I'm just going to write a inside it, and I'm going to call a from here. Now what I have written, what is this? What is happening here? So basically this we can understand, there's a function a in which I'm just printing console.log print, right? But then what is this? So now what is this? I know that b is a function which has been created and it is having one parameter which is a. Obviously this a is a parameter which is this one, the function only. That means inside a function we are using another function as an argument. Can we say that? So we are using a function which takes another function as an argument, or it also returns it. It also returns a, correct? So it also returns the function from it, correct? Now let me just write it. A function which takes another function as an argument, okay, or returns a function from it. This is the definition of high order function. Okay, so a function which takes another function as an argument or returns from it, that's what is an high order function. So this b here, b is a higher order function. Okay, now if this b is an high order function, what is a? We already know that if you're, what is callback? What is callback? If you go here, I have explained you what is callback, right? In all of my programs, whenever I've explained you what is callback, I have explained you with a definition, right? So I've told you a callback is a function passed as an argument to another function, right? That's what my high order function also says. With this, my higher order function also says that will return another function, correct? So can I say this a is an callback function? Because that is the function which is getting called back from another function, right? So this is a callback function. Okay, so please try to understand this code because this is just a sample code. This is not the code which I'll be running right now. The code which I'll be running right now will be a different code, but this will look something like this. That will look something like this. Okay, so I'm just trying to explain you how this high order function is different from callback function. The callback function is that function which is getting called back. Okay, and the function which is calling that function is called as high order function. Okay, I hope you have understood this. Let me comment this, and now let me ask you a question. So let's say that you are in an interview, okay, and somebody is asking you that, hey, you know JavaScript, right? So can you just write a program which will add all the numbers which is there in an array, okay, which will add, or let's say which will multiply all the numbers in an array, right? It is not saying that you have to add all the numbers, just that. If it is asking all the numbers to add, what you will do, you'll just directly write a simple code. You'll just add all the numbers together and you'll just print it, correct? That's a very easy thing. But it is saying now that you have to add all the number or multiply all the numbers in an array. So first two things will come in our mind, right? First thing, that we need to create an array, correct? So let's say I'm creating an array, right? Let's say 5, let's say 7, let's say 8, and let's say 9. These are the numbers which I have given to my array. The second thing which will come to our mind is that we should be iterating these numbers, and all these numbers should be multiplied to itself, right? Because that's what is my question. It should multiply all the numbers, correct? So all the numbers in the sense that, you know, let's say 5. So 5 into 5 into 5 into 5. That's how I'm asking. Just like squaring or cubing or making quad, something like that. So I want, okay, let's not say multiply, let's say cube. Okay, let's say cube. I want cubes of all these numbers. I want cubes of all these numbers. Let's say the question I've changed. I've changed the question. I'm now asking that I want cubes of all these numbers which are there in the array. So for to make the cubes, what do you need? You need to multiply 3 times the number, whatever will come. But soon it will not come because you have to iterate. You have to use for loop to iterate to each of the numbers, and then you need to multiply all of them, right? So how to do this? Obviously we need for loop, but before that also we need something, right? Let's say I'm taking a cube here, okay, which is the variable name, and I'm going to create a function. And in this function, I'm going to just pass this variable, which is num. So the array I have passed here, right? This array which I have passed, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take a variable which will collect the output. Okay. So let's say I'm going to take here a result, right? This will collect my all the outputs in an array. Okay. Now I'm going to use a for loop. So I'm going to use a for loop. I'm just going to say here, let I equal to 0 or I is less than num dot length. That's how you actually iterate to all of the arrays, right? This doesn't need any explanation. So I'm just simply writing the code. I equal to 0, 0 is less than 4, it will getting continued. Now here we need to write the logic, right? The logic is basically to make the cube, right? To make the cube, what you have to do? You have to multiply same numbers together, correct? So what I'm going to do here is, let's say result dot push. So in the result, because it's an array, I'm going to push the data one by one. Okay. So what is the data which you need to push? You need to push multiplication of all these numbers, right? This is what you have to do. And because I'm creating a code of cube, so I'm just multiplying it with 3 times. That's it. Okay. So what I've done here, I've created a cube variable, which is a function. Okay. So cube is a function which is having the parameter num. So it is taking the array, and through the array, this for loop is getting iterated, and it is calculating my cubes and is putting it inside the result array, which will show me the output. Okay. Now we need to do something. We need to call this cube, right? We need to call this so that this code will start running. So what I have to do, let's say console.log, and I'm just going to say here cube, because this cube is a function. If you can see, this cube is a function. The cube function is having one parameter. So this will also having the one parameter, which is the array, right? So let's check out whether something is happening or not. So I'm going to open my web page. Let's save this. Let's check out. Go to inspect, go to console. Okay, nothing is happening. It just says undefined. Correct. Now, what is the reason behind undefined? Let's understand. Why is it giving me undefined? Let's go to script. Here you can see I have written console.log cube, right? Let's leave console.log, leave the console.log. Let's first understand cube num. So cube num is going here. It's calling the function. So it's going to come here. It's going to say that, okay, result is an empty array, which is not having anything right now. I equal to 0, 0 is less than 4. So it's going to come here. And it says result.push. So num 0. What is there in num 0? 5. 5 into 5 into 5. It's going to give me some value. Let's say 125, right? And that is going to going to push inside the result array, right? Now, am I printing or returning the result here? I'm not doing that. So what I have to do, I have to return this. So I'm going to put up here return result. So it's going to return the result. Where? Here. So in the console.log, what's going to come back? Result. Now it's going to print something in the console. So let's check out. So I'm getting here all the cubes. Correct? I'm getting all the cubes, right? Now this is one of the question which is very easy. It can be asked, right? And you will be able to do it. There's a very easy question which is I have done, right? Now let's say that once the interviewer had asked this question, now you have written the code and you have explained how it is working. He is going to tell you that can you write the Same thing for square, for squaring the number. So what you're going to do? What you're going to do in this? Uh, Maybe you will take the same number array and you will just copy this, right? And you will just paste this here, right? And you will just change all of the places where cube is written to square, right? And also you'll do one more thing. You'll just remove this from here. Correct? Now, whether it'll give me the square or not, yes, it should give me. Let's save this. Let's check out. So yes, it is giving me the square. Correct? Now again, let's say the interview is again asking you that, okay, fine, you have written the square part. Can you do the quad one? Like you need to multiply the numbers 4 times. So how you're going to do it? You're going to again copy this. You're going to again go down. You're going to again paste this. You're going to change this. Let's say to quad, right? And here what you're going to do, you're going to just copy this and paste it 2 times more. Correct? This is what you're going to do. And let's save this and you will get the output. Cool. All the questions of the interviewer I've given, but interviewer is not happy with you, and maybe they will reject you if depending on the other questions which they have asked. Now why is that? Why your code is not correct? Because it is working, it's fine, everything is fine here. It's like whatever question has been asked to me, I'm giving the answer of that, right? First thing what you will think, that whatever question they are asking, I'm giving the answer. Then what is the problem, right? Whatever code I have written, whatever you asked me, whatever inputs you gave me, whatever output you wanted, I have done that. There's no problem in it, right? Then why you're going to reject me? The second thing what you will think is that if I have done copying and pasting, is that wrong? I've done copying and then pasting and I've just changed the variable. Is why you are rejecting me? No, that is also not the reason. The reason is not the number 1, the number 2. The reason here is very simple, that your logic, whatever you're writing in here, is somewhat not appropriate. Okay, now why it is not appropriate? As you can see that I'm doing cubing, I'm doing squaring, I'm doing quad, but all of them have the same logic, right? It is all of the codes are having the same thing, the same array, the same for loop, the same statement, the same multiplication, everything is exactly the same, right? We have the same things here, correct? There's no change. It's just that we are making changes in the logic. That's it. We are just somewhere we are removing this, somewhere we are adding this 2 more, right? That's what we are doing. So that's why this particular code is not correct, because it's become lengthy and it's time taking. And you will say that I have copied and pasted and it's not time taking because I've just copied and pasted. Where did you see that I took some half an hour to do this? I just copied and pasted it and I just changed the variable names. That's it, I've done. And it's there. Then why we need to complicate it? Why we need to do it in another manner? Right? You will start thinking like that, right? But that's not the fact. The fact here is that your functions, whatever you are creating, should be modular. That means each of the logic should be written in such a manner that it can be used again and again, right? So modularity is something which should be there in the functions. Reusability is something which should be there in the functions. Do you remember when we studied functions in the very first, when we started learning coding, we understood what is a function. What is a function? When we start creating a function, that function we create because it should be used again and again. That's why we create function, right? So if you've created this function, why are you creating this function again and again? Why can't you just create this function one time and write some logic here which will apply for all cube, square and quad? Can we do that? Then it will be much more easy code, because we'll have only one functionality and we need to just call cube, square and quad and logic will start working, right? But here I'm not doing that. Here I'm creating 3 functions, more workload, more memory load. Everything is more here. Everything is very, very bigger here, right? So now what we'll do is we'll try to do this in a much more simpler way. So what I'm going to do, let's say I'm going to just comment this portion, which is the square and the quad portion. I'm just going to comment it. And now I'm going to write a code here. Okay. So let's see what I'm going to do here. Okay. So see, the main funda here is that we need a logic. Okay. First of all, we need a logic. And for cube, there will be a different logic. For square, there will be a different logic. For quad, there will be a different logic. Correct. So for all these 3 things, we will have a different logic. That means we can write these logic things in a separate code, right? So we can write this thing in a separate code, so that if user is asking for cube, we need to use the cube logic. If user is asking for square, we will use the square logic, right? So don't you think we should create functions separately for cube, square, and quad, right? Separately, in the sense, let's say I'm creating a functionality for cube, right, where I'll just be writing down the logic for it. So what is the logic for it? The logic for it is very simple. It's just num multiplied with num multiplied with num. That is the logic for my cube, right? So I've written the logic for it. Now I don't have to write this logic here. Okay. And this is a function, cube function, which I've done. Okay. Now I have to write one of the function where this iteration will happen, right? Where iteration will happen. And this iteration will happen for cube also in the same manner, for square also in the same manner, for quad also in the same manner. Correct? So for all the 3 things, this iteration will be same. For loop will be same. Variable inside the for loop will be same. The printing statement will also be the same, right? So here I'm going to create that. So let's say I'm going to put up here calculate. Let's say that this is named as calculate. I'm going to put up a function, and here I'm going to in this function we need something, right? What do we need here? We need 2 things here. The first thing we need here is the number, that is the array, the number in the sense this one, okay, the number, yeah, this one. Okay. And also we need one more thing. Let's say if you want a cube, right? So you need to write the logic here. You need to write the logic of cube here, so that when the iteration is happening, during the iteration it knows that, okay, I need to find the cube, so I have to multiply it 3 times. So here I'm going to write the logic. So what is the logic for cube? It's cube, right? It's cube. Let's give another variable. Let's say logic. Okay. When I will call the function calculate, that time I will pass the function cube. Okay. Right now I'm just writing logic. Or let's not confuse you. I'm going to write cube here. Okay. So I'm just passing the logic here, which is cube. Okay. And now what I can do, I can create a result of an array, and these codes will be normal. These codes, there will be no change, because any which ways you have to iterate, right? You can't do anything. You have to iterate. So here no shortcuts you can do. So here I'm going to say name.length, right? And also I'm going to put up here I++, and then I'm going to write here yeah, this thing will be there, result.push, because in the result we want to push something, so that in the output something will be shown, right? And now result.push, I need to write some logic here, right? Now already the logic which I want to use, already I've written here. See, earlier I used to do something like this, right? But that thing I have already created here. Please do not get confused. This is a separate thing. This is a separate thing. Okay. Don't get confused. Let me just add the constant num here also, so that you don't think that this is another code. Okay. This is a separate code. That's a separate code. That's a code where you are using your basic logic, which you will be using. But right now I'm showing you something else. So here, what I should pass, what I should push, so that the logic can be called here. So the logic is what? The logic is cube only, right? And this cube function is having one parameter which is num. So can I just say here num, right? And this num, because you can see that it is inside the for loop, so it is having an I value. So one by one all the I values will be passed. So let's say I'm going to pass here I. So first of all, what will happen? I equal to 0, 0 less than 4, cube num 0. Cube num 0, that means it will come here. Num will become 0. 0 in, what is the value? 5. 5 into 5 into 5, 125. Right? And now I have to return the output also. So what I'm going to do here is return result. Okay. And last, I'm going to just call my main function, which is the calculate. So I'm going to just call calculate, and now this calculate is also having two parameters. You can see num and cube. So I'm just going to pass that as well. I'm just going to pass here num and cube. Fine. So now let's try to see what will be the output. And also please understand, this is one of the code where I have const num. Let me just make it commented because it will say that you have declared 2 times. So I'm going to just see the output right now. Okay. Identifier cube has already been declared. 1 second. Yeah, this was already declared. So just name it as 1. Okay. Changing that. Yeah. Now have a look. So you can see the output, right? You can see the output. Both the things are giving me the same answer. Both the output is giving me the same thing, which is the cube of the numbers, correct? How is it working now? How is it working? Let's see. So I'm writing here console.log calculate num comma cube. So number array is also getting passed and the cube logic is also getting passed. In the calculate will come, number array will come, which is given here, and the cube logic is given here. Okay. Now in the result, it's just a variable which is empty array right now. And to that I'm iterating, right? So I'm iterating and I'm pushing all the outputs in this result array. What is the output and how am I getting that output? I equal to 0, 0 is less than 4, num 0. So cube num 0, here 0 will come, 0 index is having which value? 5. So 5 into 5 into 5, it will return 125, where it will return 125 to this part, right? And where is it getting stored? In the result. So it's going to return result, right? Before returning result, this for loop will go for all the 4 elements. So 125, 343, 512, 729. All these things will happen here. Now imagine that you're not writing this code, right? You're not writing this code in your interview and you're writing this code in your interview. Okay. And now the person is asking you that if I want to write a square code, then what you have to do? So what you will do, you'll just copy this, you'll paste it here, you'll just name it as square, and you'll remove this one thing. You will go here and you will go here, you'll go here, and you'll just remove these things. You will write square. Let's save this and you're going to get the square. Cool, right? Other than that, what you can do, let's come back. Other than this, what you can do, let's say I'm not changing this, right? Here what you can do, see right now what I did, I have to change all the things, right? I had to change all the cubes. Wherever cube is there, I need to change square there, right? So now what I can do, mainly in this code, I can just change this to written as logic. Okay. And if I have to do it for square, I can just call it again, but this time I'll write square ka logic. So square ka logic will go there in this and it'll solve this. Then I'm going to get 2 outputs. Earlier I was only getting 1 output. Can you see? I was only getting square because I changed the functionality of cube itself, right? But right now I have written 2 things and I'm getting the cube first and then the square. If anybody then asks you that you have to write the code for quad, what you will do? Again, you will copy this logic. You'll write the logic for quad. You'll just add this here 2 more times, and here you're going to copy this. Here you're going to just say quad. Okay. Now you tell me, if I'm getting this output, which particular code is much better, this one or this one, right? Any of the code which is getting repeated here, code, the functionality, okay, not the console.log. Don't tell me that this is getting repeated. If you don't do this, or obviously nothing is gonna work. But tell me the functionality. Is any functionality which is getting repeated? No, right? I've written only one function which is taking the array, which is taking the logic, and which is giving me the output as well, right? This is what is called as functional programming. Okay. Any doubts still here? JavaScript is easy. It's React where I find head blowing off. Okay. Yeah, in some of the libraries you will get pissed off, but if you know JavaScript very easily, like all the advanced concepts also, I don't think React will be much more harder than this. Okay. Any questions? Have you understood all of these things, how it is working? This is what is your functional programming, and that is what function programming says. Now let's understand what function programming says, because at this code we understood that this code is not correct. I mean, it is correct, but it's not well structured, or we can say that we cannot use this logic every time to do this following, right? Because it is not giving me a modularity which I can say, right? So what is function programming doing here? Let's understand. Function programming is doing a lot of things here. Okay, so let's just write here advantages of functional programming. Okay, so I'm going to just mention here what are the advantages of functional programming, or what are the advantages of writing the code something like this. We can use if else in calculate function and use condition over logic. Yeah, you can do that. There are a lot of ways how you can write a logic. Your logic may be correct, my logic is also correct. Logic can be different, so there's no problem in that, but try to understand how I've written the code, right? How it's getting called, how this function is written, that is not even getting written again and again. It's just taking these same things and printing it out, right? Now, what are the advantages of function programming? Or you can say that why do we prefer function programming? Because of modularity throughout the code. Second, we also use it for reusability purpose. As you can see, the same function is getting reused many times here. 3 times we have used the same functionality. So that is what is reusability. Modularity means that the functions which you are using should be modular. That means you are not repeating this function again and again. It is modular. The third thing which we get it from here is that passing functions into different functions. Okay. When I'm saying this, is anything coming to your mind? When I'm saying passing functions into different functions, any particular concept which is coming to your mind? We have something, right? When we pass functions to different functions, what is that? I have written one definition here which says a function which takes another function as an argument or return a function from it is called as high order function, correct? So when I'm saying that I'm passing function to different function, am I doing something like that there? I am. As you can see, calculate is taking cube. Also, cube, square and quad is also a function, right? So remember the very first example which I explained you here, this one. Remember this example. Here what was happening? A function was there which was taking another function as an argument and it was calling it. And that function was called as high order function. And the function which was getting called as is called as callback function, correct? Isn't the same thing happening here? Am I not using calculate function, which is a function, by the way? It's not like it's something else. It is a function, right? Yes, you can see here, I've written a function. So calculate is a function which is calling, you can see logic, right? Logic is what? Logic is nothing but cube. Cube is what? Cube is nothing but a function. So can I say that calculate function is taking another function as an argument and is calling that? So can I say calculate is a high order function? Right? And which function is getting called? Either cube, square or quad. These three are the function which is getting called. So can I say that cube, square and quad is a callback function? This is the concept which you should be knowing, and this is how we used high order functions, right? Yeah, you're correct, callback. So that's what is called. These are callbacks, but this is a high order function because it is calling the another function in their argument. Logic is also a function. Do not get confused. I've just changed the name. Why I changed the name? Because I need to call different functions. So I just changed the name. I just kept one default name so that every function should come there and it can be named as logic. Okay. So that's what is a high order function, and about the callback function and about the function programming. So these three things are the advantages, or you can say that why do we prefer function programming, right? Now I'm going to do something else. Let's try to see. So I'm going to comment this, and here understand what I'm writing. Okay, so I'm just writing here console.log, okay, and num.map cube. Okay, so I have removed this, right? So you'll not get square and quad ka result, you will only get cube ka result. But I've added some more thing in the console. I've added num.map cube. Now num, we know num is an array. Cube, we know cube is a function which is written here, which is also acting as a callback function, right? But here in this line, I've never used calculate. Okay, I've never used calculate. Instead of calculate, I am using map. What is this map? Let's understand first the answer of this. So if I go back to my browser, can you see both my console.log is giving me the same output? Both the statement, which is your console.log, is giving me the same output, which is the cube of the numbers, right? But we have understood that how this is giving the answer, but how this is giving, what is this map? From where this map came? What is this map? The map is you can say it's a function, right, which does the same task what calculate is doing. It does the same task what calculate is doing. In the sense, let's say if I'm commenting this whole portion, okay, I'm commenting this whole portion. What have I written in the code? Only this num array I have given. I have written a logic for my cube, for my square, for my quad, and I'm just writing num.map cube. Even if I save this, you are going to get the answer. Even if I'm not writing the iteration part, I'm not writing that it should iterate or it should take the function or higher order function should work there. I'm not doing all of those things. Is there any specific reason we are using function expressions and not function statements? Have a look here. We are using function expressions because these can be called directly. We are using calculate here, right? That's why we are doing this, nothing else. You can use a normal function also. There's no problem in that. But see, it's very easy for you to understand this kind of functions, right? That's why I've written function expression. There's no mandatory thing that you have to use function expression. You can write a normal function also, like the function statement which you are saying. Okay. So yeah, now coming back. So what is this map? Is this map a magic? What is happening to this map? This whole logic which I've actually commented, not from here, from here to here, whatever thing I've commented, this whole thing is only done by only 3 letters, map. That's it. Map is doing everything for me, right? So how is it doing it? How is it just doing whatever code I've written here? Now understand, map is a predefined function which JavaScript already provides us, okay? And inside the map, this same logic is written. This same logic is written inside the map function, the predefined function. What does this map do? This map takes 2 things. One, the array, and one, the logic. The logic means these 3 logics, okay? So it takes the array, it takes the logic, it iterates through the array, and it puts down it inside the logic, and it just returns the results. So only this 3-letter word map does all of these things. So instead of writing your calculate function, you can just use map to do this. Okay, there are a lot of things. We have filter also, but we are not going to do that now. We are going to do that in our next session, the part 5 of Advanced JavaScript, not now. So that's what is a map. So can I say that this logic is of map function? Yes, this logic is of map function. Okay, now in this logic is of map function. That means here if I'm writing num, it's not num there. The logic will have array, right? Because map says that I will take an array and a logic. So instead of num, everywhere you will have the array. Okay, so it will iterate through the arrays, and it will put down the logic, and it will return the result, right? That is what map does. So the whole calculate code is getting replaced with map. That is the work of map. Okay, so I hope you understood this. Any doubt? See, now see the length of the code, only this much and this one line. Now imagine that if anybody is asking you that, hey, I'm giving you an array and I want you to put down the cubes of all those numbers. So how will you write the code? You just have to write this much. You don't even have to write all of these things. But suppose if the particular person is asking that you can't use any predefined method, you can't use any method such as map or something, then you have to write this logic, right? Any doubts here? Any doubts, please do let me know if you have not understood anything from here. Otherwise, we'll move to the next code. Okay. Okay, fine. Now, there should be one doubt to you, right? Let me just uncomment this once. There'll be one doubt for you. The one doubt will be, you will be saying that, let me just remove this from here, right? Also I'll just put it up here. Okay, now let's say that you are saying me, sir, how come these 2 things are the same? Because when you are saying calculate num comma cube, this is not the same thing, right? It should be written something like this, na? It should be written like maybe, you know, map, and then inside that we should have passed num comma cube. It should be written something like this, but you are not writing something like this. You are writing in a different way, right? Then how come it is same? How map is getting replaced with calculate function, right? This question can arise. Any interviewer can ask you this as well, right? So in this case, what you need to do, see right now what is something which is happening, that calculate is a function in my case, correct? and that's why we need to put up the function here so that function call can happen. And because this function call is taking two parameters, which is array and logic, that's why I've given here num comma cube. Correct? But here in the map case, map is a function, right? An array should be designed to give the map, and then map will have only the logic inside it. Correct? So if you want to do this to the calculate also, you can use prototype. Okay, how you can use prototype in this case? What you have to do, you have to write a prototype for array, right? And if you're using prototype for calculate, that means what's going to happen, this function calculate will be available in all the arrays you see in your code. Okay, so this particular function calculate will be available in all the arrays you see in your particular code. It will appear as an array everywhere. Now what you can do, now I can change this code and I can write it in this manner. So let's say num dot calculate cube. Here, because it's now only taking one argument, so I'm going to remove one argument. Okay, but you will then ask me that how this array is gonna work, how this number is gonna come. So what I can do here is I can just change this to this. Okay, this means that because I've written array.prototype, so now wherever calculate is written, it is gonna work as an array. Correct? So automatically this num is gonna come here, and num is having this, so this dot length means num dot length. Let's try it out. Let's see. You are getting the output. Okay, so these are the places where you can use prototype, and that's why I taught you prototype in the first place. Okay, so here prototype, what it does, array.prototype, that means array का father. Array के father से उसने बोला कि hey, can you please make this calculate as an array in wherever I'm using it. So this calculate is now working as an array का prototype itself. Okay, and now we have written something like this. So because this function call is taking only one argument, I removed array from there, because now wherever you use array, I have told array.prototype. For this function, I have told array.prototype. So in this code, wherever you use array, it's gonna work. You don't need to pass an array here. The reason of array.prototype is that inside the logic, inside this calculate code, inside this calculate function, if you want to use the array, you have to just write this and it will take the array. ठीक है, आपको बस यहाँ पे num dot लिखना है. So now it is working the same way. It is written in the same way. So if anybody asks you this kind of silly questions or some confusing questions, you can always tell them that this is how it's gonna work, right? So what we have learned in this particular session, or in this particular logic, or in this particular program, we have learned that the function which is passed to high order function is called callback function, right? The function which is passed to the high order function is called as callback function, and this is happening because of the first class citizens. That means the first class functions. Okay, so I hope you got all the idea about functions in this session. Okay, any doubt now? So functions का पूरा टॉपिक खत्म हो चुका है. Functions का सारा टॉपिक खत्म हो चुका है. Everything like from high order functions to callback queue to multitask queue, then event loop, all these advanced concepts are finished. Now we are only left with currying, which I will be teaching you tomorrow at the same time, right? This session is not finished. Do not go. Okay, this session is not done yet. Do not go away. So tomorrow we are going to do at 12 p.m. again the same thing, but currying topic we'll do, and some more difficult topics we are going to take. I'm just going to tell you what all things will come. But right now what we are going to see is we are going to see HTML DOM, because that is really very important. Fine. So let's just go ahead and try to see what is HTML DOM. Okay. Here I'm going to comment this. I hope you got this. People, please give me a thumbs up, anything. Just give me an idea that, okay, you got this. Do not just sit silent there. Give me a thumbs up that you have understood this particular thing. This topic is done. You have understood this. Let me know. Okay. So now we are going to move ahead and understood HTML DOM. Now HTML DOM is document object model, right? And a document object model is basically all those statements which you write now. Document dot get element by ID, document dot you know, there are more other things. I have not explained you that. We have only seen get element by ID, and that's why I wanted to move inside this topic, which is HTML DOM, because HTML DOM was also explained yesterday in somewhere, right? When I was explaining about browser API, I did tell you what is HTML DOM, but then I thought that okay, HTML DOM has not been taken yet. I have not explained you what are DOM elements. So this DOM elements is document object model. We are going to see document.get element by ID. How we have get element by ID, we have some more like that. Okay, we have get element by tag name, by class name. So how that's gonna work, that's what we are going to see. Okay, now before starting that, we have something called as node. Okay, so please understand what is node. Node is a term which is given to all our JavaScript commands. Okay, so let's say that you're creating a document, right? So the whole document is nothing but called as a document node. First node, what is it? It's document node, right? Now inside that document node, we will be writing some codes, right? So maybe we will write our HTML, this tag, right? We write this tag, right? So this is what is called as root node, right? The starting node, which we say, right? This is the starting node, and then we have head, right? And this, you know, that this is called as element. Now these are called as element node. Okay, similarly inside that, if you will go, then you will have all the elements inside this. All of these things will be an element. Like maybe let's go to body, right? Head and body will be my element node. So these are just the terms which are there. Okay, now let's say that inside body I have something else. So let's say I have image, right? But in image, when I say image, it's an element, right? It's an element. But in image, we have one more thing, which is src, right? Now this src is attribute. So all of these terms we already know about, right? But these are also called as nodes. So why I'm telling you about this right now? Because later on in our code, we will be talking about nodes. So at first itself, I'm just giving you an idea. So the very first code which you're writing, that's a root node, right? And wherever you're writing, in whatever document you're writing the code, that's a document node, and below that we'll have element node. So all the tags are nothing but the element node, and attributes will be told as attribute node, right? And let's say that inside the source you must be writing a text, right? Inside the source we write the text, we write the image link, or let's say we write something, right? So that is what is called as text node. Okay, similarly, if suppose we have an h1, so inside an h1, obviously in this h1 is an element node, but inside this h1 we will have a text, so that's a text node. Okay, so I hope you got an idea what's a node. Okay, so that's what is a node all about. So we have document node, we have the root node, we have all the elements. Inside the elements, if we have the attribute, then that is attribute node, and then if any text is there, then that is what is called as text node. Okay, this is one of the concept inside DOM element. Okay, so that I've just told you. Later on we will have one of the topic which is coming inside node, so we'll try to understand how these nodes actually work, because there are some functions, let's say create node, remove node, create a text element, create this element, that element. We have all those methods. So we are going to do that soon. Okay. Now, let's move ahead and let's try to understand some different documents. So this we know very well that if we have anything document.get element by ID, if we have any ID, we give the ID and then we put up inner HTML and then we put up any particular sentence. Let's say I want to write Ritwik Raj. So in this case, what's going to happen? If I save this, I hope I've written demo here, right? So if I save this, if I show you my browser, you're going to see Ritwik Raj in my web page. What it is doing, it is just the explanation of this particular line you already know about, right? Document means the document inside which it is getting the element by the ID demo. What is the element which is the ID demo? P. So inside P, it should print Ritwik Raj. That is what is the explanation of this. But we also have some more kind of HTML elements. So we have document.get. You can see here, there are a lot of things here. Get element by tag name. So let's say we are using tag name, and we also have document dot get elements by a class name. So you must be easily understanding how it is used, right? Tag name, that means inside the brackets you have to give the tag name. That means H1, P, A, that. Here I was using the ID. Class name means whatever class name you want to use, you can use that class name without any symbols, nothing. Just that inside this, it should be written here class. So if we are making this demo as class, you can use the class name. Okay. Similarly, how we have inner HTML, we have some more. Okay. So right now we have element dot inner HTML, correct? Now what is this inner HTML? This means new HTML content. Okay, that is what is the meaning of it. So it basically changes the inner HTML content. It changes the inner HTML content. That is what is the meaning of inner HTML. Now we have something else. We have element dot attribute. Okay, now what is this? Because it is written here attribute, that means it must be related to attribute. So it changes the attribute value of that element. So what is the meaning of this? The meaning of this is, see, if I have any image, if I'm writing suppose img and I'm writing src and I'm writing any particular value here, any particular image link I'm giving here, I can change this attribute value of img with this. That means with JavaScript. That is why it is called as HTML DOM, HTML Document Object Model. How HTML is connected with JavaScript. If you want to change something in HTML using JavaScript, you can do that. If you want to change something in JavaScript using HTML, you won't be able to. Correct? So I remember that I have also explained you one of the project where I explained you about I think one of the program was there which was I think the to-do list, right? Yeah. So in to-do list, I did tell you about create element. Can you see here? And I also have used append child here. I've also used create text node. How can I forget this? This is what I'm teaching you right now. This is what are nothing but the HTML DOM elements, the HTML DOM functions. Okay. So create element creates the element li. If I'm writing li, it actually creates the element. So using JavaScript, I am doing changes in the HTML, right? That's what is happening here. Creating text node. That means inside that document, I want to create a text. In JavaScript, simply I can't write text, na? But here I can. So I'm creating a text node inside which item.value will come. And that's why I've given this explanation that the first thing is a document node. The next thing is a root node. Then there is an element node. So we use create text node to create the text. Append child. That means it will have a parent So after that, I want to append the child. If to this child you are appending child, so that means again one more child will be added to this. So you're appending child. And then we have remove child. You want to remove that particular child. So we'll come back to this, right? But let's try to understand this first. So we have element dot attribute, and we have something else also. We are going to see one example for all of them. Don't worry. Style dot property. What is the style dot property? Let's say the element is h1, right? And in the HTML part, you have not written that h1. You are creating a element by using JavaScript in your HTML. Again, I'm saying please do let me know if I'm live. Am I back? Okay, perfect. So I think I'm back. Yeah. So that's what I was saying, that you can also change the elements style and property, right? That means the CSS also you can change um, by using your JavaScript part. Okay. Now these whatever I have written, these are basically a property. Okay, these are not methods, these are property. Whatever you have used here, these are basically the uh, again methods. Okay, and now we have one more thing. So we have one method, right? We have one method which is set attribute. So we can use element dot set attribute to add some attribute. If you want to add some attributes to your element, you can do that, and this is a function. So you will write the attribute name and you will write the value of it. So let's say for image img, I want to add some attribute and a value. So I can add the attribute name, let's say src, and here I'm going to put down the value. So from this you can change the attribute value of an HTML element. Okay. Fine. So these are some of the things which you can use for your with your DOM elements, HTML elements, HTML DOM elements. These are the properties and these are the methods. Now we are also going to see some more methods. So these are the methods which you can use to create element or to delete element or to remove element. So we have first of all the create element, right? Why do we use it for? To create an HTML element, the same way how we have done it here, right? We created an element li. So if you want to create an element using JavaScript, you can do that. The another one, we can use it to document dot remove child. So remove child is basically again the same thing. If you want to remove any particular child from your tags or your elements or your parent tag, then you can remove that. The next part is document dot append child, that also you have seen in one of the programs, that is a to-do list. You have seen how to do that. We have the next one, which is document dot replace child. So it will just replace whatever things you're writing, it's going to replace the child. Okay, so now here these all are methods, so you will have to write the element name inside the brackets. If in case it's coming up for replace child, what you have to do, you can't write that same thing, so you have to write new one and the old one. Okay, in the similar manner, we have document dot one more thing, which is write. So whatever you want to write, you can write here. Correct. So these are all of the things which is coming under HTML DOM. Now we are not going to see all of the examples, but we are going to see some of the examples so that you can understand how these elements are working, right? So we are going to do that. We have one more event handler. So it is for event handlers, right? And for this event handler, what you have to do, you have done this already. I'm just trying to explain you how to use this. You give the ID here and then you just write here on click. So you can directly write on click and you can put down the function, whatever function you want to run. correct? So this also you can do. Here you can see, as I'm not using .inner HTML, I'm just calling the onClick function, right? So onClick, what should happen? This is what it is telling me, right? So I'm just going to comment this, and I hope you got an idea what are HTML DOM elements. So we are going to quickly see some of the examples, and you are going to understand how these examples are working. So let's say this ID part, you already know how this works. So let's now try to understand how this tag name works. Okay, so let's do something. Let's write up a code and let's try to show you how this works. So let's say I'm just creating const element, right? And I'm just putting up here document dot get element by tag name, and the tag name which I'm giving here will be P, because I have the paragraph, so I'm not using any ID. I'm using here the tag name itself, and now I'm going to just print it up. So document dot get element by ID. I'm going to put down here demo dot inner HTML. Okay, and to this I'm going to print up the element, but again understand, element is having the value which will be there in the paragraph, right? So let's say what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put down here in the paragraph here I'm going to just write Ritwik Raj. Also, I'll have one more paragraph. Let's say I'm going to put up here Aman Gupta. And I'll have one more. So let's say paragraph Ritika. Something like that. Okay. Now, let's save this. Let's go back. And here, element is saying that I have the tag name P, right? But there are so many P's. So which one, right? First of all, the question is which one? Which one do you want me to print here? So that you need to put down. How are you going to do that? You're going to just write element, and then you're going to mention which particular number. So all the 4 paragraphs are going to come inside like a index number, and then you're going to put down inner HTML. Okay, let's save this and let's check out whether it is printing something in my demo or not. Demo is what? Demo is the 4th paragraph. So whatever your, let me just put down here one HR so that there will be a underline. Let's save this. Let's save this. And let's go back to my browser. Okay, so I am getting the 3 paragraphs, but I'm not getting, there is one error. Id is not a function. Okay. The wrong thing was I've written here got elements, right? That was wrong. If I save this now, you can have a look. So I'm getting after the underline Ritwik Raj. So that's the element 0. That means the 0th element, okay, which has been called. If I change the code and if I, oh God, 1 second, wait. Let's say I'm just writing 2, which is, I guess, Ritika Sen. So if I save this, you will be able to find that, right? That's how your tag name will work. Okay. I hope no doubts in this. Can we move ahead? Can we move to the another question or another part? Any questions? Any doubts? Anywhere from higher order function or whatever topics you have taken today. Any questions from those, then please do let me know. Okay. Now let's do something. So here I'm going to put up a class, right? Let's say I'm going to put up a class and I'm going to just say here first. And in this one, I'm going to just put up another class and I'm going to say here second. Okay. So now I'm using, as you can see, I'm using a class, and here I'll be not using now tag name. I'll be using the class name. So here const element document dot get element by, I'm going to change this to class name. And okay, let's do one thing. let's copy this, let's comment this, and now let's create a new thing so that if anybody is copying it down, you can copy down the codes as well. So class name, here I'm going to give a class name. So let's say I'm just going to give here first, right? And next thing what I'm going to do here is document.getElement by id demo.inner.html. And here what I'm going to do, element, let's say I'm going to put up 0.inner.html, right? So const element document.getElement by id this example demonstrates. Okay, let's check out the page, what is happening. So class name is first, element is there. Okay, so I'm getting Ritwik Raj here, right? That's how the class name is working. But I'm confused here because you can see class name is given first. And I've given here first. So it's taking the first one, the name, which is Ritwik Raj, and it's just putting it here. The same way, if I just say that if I'm writing here as second, so it's gonna take Aman Gupta and it's gonna print that. So if I save this, here you can see it is Aman Gupta, right? So that's how your class name works. And let's move ahead and let's try to see some other things. Let's say I want to use CSS selectors, right? So in CSS selectors, let's introduce to you the query selector, okay? Let's say I have one written paragraph here. Let's say I'm going to put up here also as first. Okay, so I have p class first Ritwik Raj, I have p class first again Aman Gupta, and I have one p demo. I'm going to remove this Ritika Sen. Let's use only 2 paragraphs. Third paragraph we are going to see the result. I'm not going to use that. I'm going to use const element document dot. Here what I'm going to do, I'm going to put up a query selector. Okay, query selector all, and here I'm going to just write p dot first. Okay, now understand what is query selector all. Query selector all means all the paragraphs which is having the class name first, it's gonna take that. So query selector all is doing that thing. Now here document.id, again I'm going to do the same thing, element 0. So element 0 is what? Ritwik Raj. So I'm going to just check out what is happening in my demo. So if I save this, if I go back, my HTML is not saved. Let me save that as well. Let's go back to my code and you can see a Ritwik Raj. So query selector all means that it'll take all the paragraphs, right? Or whichever class is first, it's gonna take that. Now let's say in my program, I'm going to change this to second. So it's gonna take the second one. But right now I think I've given both the classes as first. So it's taking Ritwik Raj first. Let's see if I'm commenting this part, it's gonna print Aman Gupta and Aman Gupta in my browser. Okay, earlier both the classes were first, it was taking the first one which was declared as class first. Okay, fine. So this was query selector all, and that's how it worked. So that is what is your DOM element. Okay, let's see if I want to show you something else, because the projects which I'll be doing at evening, I want to make sure that I'm using all the functions and there should be no new functions which you should be not knowing about, right? So just let me check. We have already seen some of the on-click functions and event handlers, so I don't think there is much explanation there. Those all things you know. Okay, fine. So we have done till here, and these are the DOM elements as I have already told you. So please remember that whenever you're change, in some of the examples also I've explained you how to use this style.property, right? In some of the JavaScript codes I have written p.style.color equal to red, so that the paragraph style color will change to red, right? We have done all of those things. So these are HTML DOM elements. These are HTML DOM methods. These are event handlers, how you can use. So these are nothing but DOM elements, and we're going to see this in some of the project programs, right? So I just wanted to show you how this looks like. And now that we have understood this, we are going to move to projects, and we are going to do some of the projects in our mixed project. So I think at 4 p.m. we have one session which is on gaming, right? The game projects. So we are going to come up with 2 of the games, right? And we are going to see how that games are working. And I'm going to explain you the logic of that, because there a lot of HTML DOMs will be used. So you'll get a great idea on how this particular HTML DOM is used in most of the projects. Fine. So that's all about this session, and I hope that you have understood all of these topics. What all things we have understood in today's session? Let's comment it out and write it. So we have understood first of all about the prototype, right? And the next thing which you have understood about the high order functions. And we have also talked about HTML DOM. Right? So all these advanced topics we have completed. Also, we have completed all the callbacks and async, sync, await, promises. Then we have also seen callback queue, multitask queue, event loop, all of those things. Now in the next advanced JavaScript portion, we are going to understand currying and similar topics with currying. What all other small topics are there, those things we are going to complete. And then tomorrow it will be an end to JavaScript. Okay, so tomorrow part 5 will come and advanced JavaScript will get over. Then we are going to directly move to Bootstrap and jQuery, right? So I hope you have understood this. If any doubts are there, then please do let me know right away. And if any particular request is there, then please also do let me know about that. I'm going to wait till 2 p.m. right now, right? So let's discuss something if you have something. Also, I'm going to just tell you about the 9 p.m. session. Please do join that at 9 p.m. Please call off all of your candidates who are preparing for an interview, right? Call them, because at 9 p.m. we have one session on tips and tricks on how to crack interviews. There are 2 sessions. Part 1 will be done today at 9 p.m. and part 2 will be done at tomorrow at 9 p.m. So in both 9 p.m. sessions, that is why I've kept it at 9 p.m. so that more students can join. In that session, I'm going to teach you about how you can use some tips and tricks to crack interviews, and what all guidelines you should follow. Some of the points I will write down, and I'll just discuss that, how you need to attend an interview and how you can prepare yourself before interview day, right? So those all things I'm going to talk about in that session, right? So please do join that. Please join Telegram channel as well. The Telegram channel link is given in the description below. You can find it there, and you can click on the link and join it so that you get the notifications and updates about all the educators when they're coming live, with what time and with what topic. All those things will be updated there. So please do join the Telegram channel. Also, please do subscribe the YouTube channel, which is CodeBeyond. Hit the notification bell so that you get an update in the YouTube app as well. And also, if you're liking this session, then please like and share so that this particular sessions can go to and reach to maximum people, because this is free course content, so they will be knowing about it, right? Please let me know if you have any doubts. If you have no doubts, please give me a thumbs up. Just give me a thumbs up. I'm going to wait here to get the thumbs ups. So please do give me a thumbs up so that I get to know, okay, fine, everything is explained clearly and you know about it. Any request, any particular project which you want me to explain, please put down that also, so that I can understand, and I will bring up that project and we'll discuss that. So today at 4 p.m. we are going to come back with one of the session on JavaScript projects. We are going to understand some of the projects. 2 projects we are going to discuss in 2 hours, and then at night 9 p.m. we are going to come back. Okay. Okay, so no questions, only one thumbs up. Anybody else? Okay, cool. So thank you so much, guys. I'll